This episode of the Capsule in Conversation is brought to you by Harrogate Springwater. Drinking life in since 1571, Harrogate is Britain's premium natural source water, enjoyed the world over. Hello, you are tuning in to the Capsule in Conversation podcast, dedicated to women and their wellbeing. I'm Natalie Anderson, and today I'm joined by TV personality, entrepreneur and author Tanya Bardsley to talk recovery and regeneration, the power of manifestation, and understanding ADHD. So sit back, relax, and get ready to join us in our conversation. Hello all, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've all had a great week. My lovely guest today is a very, very busy lady who I'm sure many of you will be very familiar with. An original Real Housewife of Cheshire, she has documented her wellness journey both online and on screen for several years now, including a hit series for ITV, Tanya's Extreme Therapies, building a successful life coaching business, Tanya Bardo Online, and developing Tanya's Body Goals on social media. As an entrepreneur, she launched her first boutique in Cheshire in 2017 before rebranding the business to create a series of wellbeing workshops and pop-ups designed to empower women across the country. However, in more recent years, it is her work raising awareness of adults living with ADHD that has firmly put her on the map as a voice that is campaigning for change within the mental health space. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome her today. It's the gorgeous Tanya Bardsley. Hi, Tanya.
Hello. Oh, what an amazing intro that was, Natalie. Thank you.
No worries at all. That's all your work. And I love it when the guests kind of reflect on all the things that they've done, because they don't often do it. So it's nice to kind of give you a cheer and say, amazing work.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, you're so right. You never realise what actually you do. You just, all I feel like is, God, I'm tired. And how am I going to get that kid ready for football?
Well, speaking of which, I was going to say you're a very busy lady. You've got 4 children as well. How on earth do you manage it all?
Do you know what? It takes a village, and I couldn't do it without my mum. My husband, well, he's just like the 5th child, really. No, but yeah, and my dad, and Phil's family, and yeah, it's just a big family affair.
Because that's the thing with you. You are very family orientated. Like everything kind of revolves around your family. And do you think that comes from you yourself, kind of being with your mum and your dad? And obviously, your dad was in the military, wasn't he?
Yeah. So growing up, I moved to Germany when I was 3 weeks old. Because my dad was in the forces, lived there for 11 years. So it was just me and my sister, and my mum and dad, and we were such a close unit. And obviously we used to go back to Wigan and Liverpool to see our grandparents and stuff when my dad had a holiday. But I think, yeah, just growing up, it's always just been the family unit. That's the most important thing.
And I expect as well for you somewhere that you could kind of have a lot of support, because at school you struggled a bit in school. You were dyslexic, you were bullied a lot. So did you often find that as well, that your family life was the thing that you kind of clinged on to?
Yeah, family life to me is like my safe haven. Like, it's sort of me and the family against the big wide world. Like, because I going to school, I couldn't do the schoolwork. I didn't realise I had ADHD, so I couldn't focus on anything. I was dyslexic. Well, not was, am. It was just really difficult growing up. But when I was at home and mum and dad and my sister, that was just bliss. That was so, yeah. That family to me is just like my anchor, my safe space.
And trying to create kind of that support network. And, you know, as I mentioned to you just before we started recording, you've had a real journey with wellness, and we've seen it being documented kind of whilst you were at Real Housewives. But this isn't a new thing for you, really, is it? You know, you've always kind of been interested in manifestation and visualization. Just tell me, and that's before it was cool. So just tell me about like those steps when you were a lot younger.
Yeah, so I discovered it was an article just in a newspaper, because there wasn't really anything online then. It was the power of positive thinking and how to manifest. And it was before The Secret and everything like that. And I've always just naturally just hyper focused on the negative stuff about me. So I think it comes from bullying as well and being bullied. And I became obsessed with it. I didn't know then that I was hyper focusing on it, my ADHD. And I became obsessed with it, and I studied it for like 12 years solidly. And then I manifested. I wanted to be a model, and I was studying Carmen Electra on the front cover of FHM, and I wanted to be her. And I was just like a 5'3" girl living in North Yorkshire, because that's where my dad was posted. And I ended up recreating the Carmen Electra cover that I had been visualizing for me to do. And I was the first non-celebrity to be on FHM cover. And I outsold their biggest selling one, which was the JLo one. So it was just incredible. And that's when I was like, this manifesting shit is unbelievable. And I was amazing at manifesting. And so I wrote a book, Just a Girl Who Got It All, How You Can Have Your All Too. And then I said, well, I need like a platform to be able to sell this book. So then I did the vision board, and I did all my steps to manifest what I wanted. And then 6 weeks later, I got a phone call, asking me to go on Housewives. I was like, oh God, this is it. And then in series 1, I did the book promo, and it was a #1 bestseller. And so that was all amazing. I was great at manifesting. And then when I was starting filming, it was very champagne orientated, and I'd got everything that I wanted to manifest: the dream husband, the dream kids. I mean, they were a bit naughty, but I'll keep them. And yeah, I was just living life. So then slowly, I was stopping doing the tips that I was saying in my own book. I was stopping practicing what I was preaching. The alcohol was kicking in, and then the hormones changing, and before I knew it, I got to 40, and then I ended up having a breakdown, because people think that ADHD is not. It was never a woman thing. Anyway, it was always just like a naughty little boy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what people is becoming more apparent now is it gets worse for women as they get older. So that's why so many women are getting diagnosed, like when they get to 40, like me, or late 30s, or because when the hormones become more intense, perimenopause, which we're all going to go through, it heightens it all.
So to be honest with you, because I was interested, kind of the whole Real Housewives thing. I'm a huge fan of the whole franchise. I love it. I love watching it, and I love watching all of the various different women from across the world. And I think it's a real insight into kind of different women's personalities. But there is a massive element to it that people don't understand, which is the scripted reality section of it. Now, as somebody who is seems to be very open and very honest, did you struggle with that side of things, like the kind of constructing the narratives and, you know, putting people into different situations, when you genuinely saw this as a platform for, I can reach people with, you know, helpful things, but now I feel like I'm being put in a different direction?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of backfired me going on to Real Housewives, because I wanted to promote my positive thinking book, and then you've got me going, fuck off. But so it's not scripted. However, I wouldn't go to a dinner party with someone who's just been really horrible to me. So that, in that sense, and they never need to give me a script, because they just know they're going to get something, because I can't keep my mouth shut, which is a lot of ADHD. So yeah, do you know what? I just loved every minute of it. It was exciting to me. Like, I'd been a single mom with no money, and now I'm on telly, and I was just loving life. So I just loved it, and it brought me a lot of great things.
And again, for you, like, what was brilliant, and I personally found, was you were one of the first people that talked openly about mental health, who actually said, I'm taking medication, who said, you know, I'm struggling with this. And honestly, it was such a relief. Like, I remember somebody recommending for me to watch your documentary because I'd always struggled with anxiety. And they said, oh, Tanya Bardsley, honestly, she's on The Real Housewife and she's absolutely so honest. And how incredible that you did get to do what you wanted to do with your platform, in the sense that you were reaching so many women. Did you feel a responsibility with that? Or was that just you just being you?
I think it's more just me, just being me. I remember when I kept breaking down when I was filming in Mallorca, and I just stopped taking my antidepressants stupidly. Oh my God, I had every symptom. One minute I was crying, next minute I felt like I was going to faint, and it was just awful. And then the producer, so I told the producers, and they was like, "How would you feel about saying it on camera?" I was like, "Yeah, fine." And it was like, "Really? Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I'm just, I never hide anything. And I like my mum and dad always growing up saying, maybe you shouldn't tell everyone anything. Like, and or if we were going out, like, Tanya, don't say like what you think all the time. I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or just me, but like they're always like, oh God, what's she gonna say? Like, because I just say how I feel. When it was coming out, then I did think, oh, actually, maybe I am going to be viewed different now, and we're going to be seen like people might think I'm a nutter or anything. And then my sister said, "Well, they think you're a nutter anyway, so it doesn't really matter." So,
I personally think it was brilliant, and for lots of women, and that's the great thing about the Real Housewives as a TV show, is it reaches so many women who can go, oh my God, actually that's me. I mean, whilst there's lovely lifestyles at the root of it, there are some real issues like that women are going through. We had Seema on last season talking about the menopause. And again, I love the fact that she was so open about that. And you've been open about your perimenopause journey as well, and, using HRT, which, do you think that is a conversation that we should have absolutely had like 10 years ago, that we should have been talking about the perimenopause way back, and it not be this big thing that suddenly hits women in their 40s?
Yeah, like I'd never heard of it before. I'd like literally never heard of it. And it affects your life so much. Like, it's like one day you wake up and you're a different person. Like, I've always been like the most happiest, loving person. Even if I had anxiety, I was still loving to other people. And I had this burning rage inside me in a supermarket, and I had to pull myself back from ramming an old lady in the back of the legs with a trolley. It's insane, and like no one talks about it. And it's like I could end up in prison. Like something. It's like the devil has taken over your body. You just are not yourself. And I'm so glad lots of people like Seema and Davina McCall especially, and so many people have brought it to the forefront. Because when it started happening to me, I was able to like access some information about it, because my God, it's awful.
And how does that work for you with ADHD? Because if you just talk me through actually how you got your diagnosis of ADHD.
So I went to see, I've been given antidepressants all my life for depression and anxiety. And it just wasn't going away. I'm having panic attacks. And so I went to a specialist, a psychiatrist, about how I could get rid of my anxiety. And he just asked me loads of questions. And after an hour, he said, I'm 99.9% sure you've not got anxiety. It's undiagnosed ADHD. And I was like, no, rubbish. Wow. And so people say, well, what's the point in getting diagnosed? I'm not going to take the medication. Well, for me, it's having the belonging and knowing, and being aware, like when I'm going through a bad patch or I can't focus, instead of bullying myself and berating myself, I can think it's not me, it's the ADHD. And what steps can I take? And if you don't want to take the pills, there's lots of skills, because I don't take the pills anymore. I just do the skills. But I have to have the routine, and I have to meditate, and I have to exercise, and I have to eat the right foods. Because if I don't have the routine, I'm going to have destruction.
So again, that leads me to how did it present itself for you? Like, when you were saying things fell into place, what was going on with you that you were kind of like, that's not quite right, or I'm convinced it's this? Just in case anyone else is listening in that might think, do I have that? How did it present itself for you?
But for me, it was like growing up, I always just didn't feel like I belonged, and my head was always racing. And if so, it can be amazing hyper focus. So so if I find a new idea or new business, I'm like excited and I can get hyper focused on it. But if someone said something bad about me, or like when I was getting bullied, I would hyper focus on that. Um, and it's just a never ending constant noise in your head, just so many thoughts and not being able to focus on one thing. And um, that's why I've got so many businesses, because I just jump from one to the other. Oh God, there's so many things. Emotional dysregulation, and because if I get overstimulated, and then you can, like, in the house, and I go, "Where's my keys? Where's my keys?" Oh, here they are. And it's sort of like that.
So it kind of and I expect then going through perimenopause at the same time when you've got
Yeah,
so many similar kind of
yeah.
symptoms with the dysregulation of your hormones, that must have felt so uncomfortable. But then you are taking HRT now. Has that helped?
So before, so it was last year, and I didn't realize it was perimenopause. But my ADHD symptoms have got so bad, so I was drinking more. And it was actually last Christmas Day, I was thinking of ways to just take my own life. And that's when I said to my husband, "Look, I need help, because I'm going to end up in a box." So I went to rehab and everything, and then it turned out I was on the perimenopause. So, and they said alcohol is the worst thing you can have with perimenopause anyway, let alone with ADHD. Um, so yeah, I quit alcohol, and yeah, I still do struggle, but I'm on the HRT, but I'm in such a better place. Um, and the alcohol is just poison, well, it's poison to everyone, but especially with ADHD and perimenopause, it's just, you can't do it. You just can't do it. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a really, really bad place.
And you've so like you say, you've continued that journey now, being sober, and you've gone on holidays. And I know you've. I was looking at your Instagram. You're like, I've done it. I've gone on a
Yeah,
holiday without having a drink. You know, because that again, people associate if you're not drinking that you're boring, or that
yeah,
you've got there's nothing going on, or are you okay? There's always that question,
yeah,
and actually, I'm more than okay because I've
yeah.
decided to quit this. But was it a struggle to start with, like on that first holiday, and kind of how did you get through that?
Yeah, well, like even when the doctor said, well, I've tried for a while for my ADHD to give up drinking, and then I've always struggled with, oh God, I'm just going to be boring. What's the point? What's the point in living? Or how am I going to have a birthday? How am I going to have a holiday? I just couldn't. I couldn't imagine life without it. This glass of poison, I couldn't imagine it. Um, but it's going out and doing your first holiday and stuff like that. You have to rebuild your muscle because it's never been used before. You've always had this crutch, and it's sort of building the muscles not to have the crutch. And like the holiday was amazing. Like I ended up going to the water park. I've never been to a water park. I was too hungover all day. No, you take the kids to the water park. I can't be bothered. I'm sitting at the bar. And I've got a buzz from going down these slides and stuff, like not the big ones, but um, yeah, it's just a completely different holiday. And the more you don't have drink, the more your chemicals or regulate in your brain, and everything looks brighter. It's sort of like after 6 months, I would say, everything, all the colours in like, I was going, look at the trees. Oh my God, it's like they're in HD and they're brighter. And it's like, I can't explain it, but it's just like I dulled my life, all my life, with alcohol. And then you need an alcohol to make something fun. Well, you don't, after 6 months, I would say, you don't need anything. Everything's just fun and everything's bright. And it's like you've gone into the light. I can't explain it, but
Like the Wizard of Oz.
yes.
Hydrating style with Harrogate Spring Water. A delicate blend of naturally occurring minerals and electrolytes, Harrogate is your perfect hydration partner. From the Royal Albert Hall, Ascot Racecourse to the world's most reputable airlines, Harrogate is the UK's #1 water brand, and as a certified B Corp business, they're committed to being a force for good. Harrogate Spring Water, drinking life in since 1571. For you though, like what were the things that you had to put in place where you were, because I know there'll be, especially now, it's like the start of the year and people will be like, I'm going to try not to do it. And how do you stop yourself from kind of giving in to that, you know? And again, you don't have to be like a massive big drinker. You don't have to kind of be someone that's, you know, in a dangerous place. You could just be a regular kind of drinker that might want to drink on a weekend and just be thinking, no, I still don't want to do it. You know, I want to try maybe a dry January or sober October or something like that. But when that urge comes and you think, oh, I'll just have one, what is it that you think about?
Yeah, well, I only drank at weekends, but then I was like sick and tired all week. And it's just a cycle you can't get out of. And it takes at least 10 days for that alcohol to leave your body. So effectively, I was just always on this cycle of sort of the hamster wheel of death, I call it. But in the beginning, it's discipline, and there is an exercise where it's the ring, like so you've got a green ring and you're in the safety ring, and then there's a red ring. So if you're going to take yourself to bars and stuff where you normally go, the first few months anyway. So you've got to stay in your safety green. I'm not explaining that very well at all, but basically avoid the places for the first few months until you build up your muscle, until you're strong enough. And you've got to do the work, because drinking alcohol and taking drugs is an escapism. So realizing what you're trying to escape from. Mine was trying to escape from my noisy head and my negative self-talk. And just a lot of beliefs like, oh, I'll be boring, or I need it because I'm stressed, or I deserve it. I've been to the gym this week, I deserve it. So getting rid of all those beliefs. So yeah, it's doing the work as well. I've just realised I've just done the ADHD babble to you.
No, this is absolutely brilliant. This is exactly kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, because there will be so many women out there that don't actually know what's going on for them, and then you know, they'll probably be entering their 40s or in their mid 40s, and there's a lot of confusing things going on. And so to have somebody that can actually explain it, or that's going through something that could be them, it might not be, but it's, you know, we didn't talk about this before. We never really talked about women having ADHD. As you said before, it was always something that was naughty little boys. And actually, as you said, more and more women in midlife are being diagnosed with having ADHD. And you're doing a lot of work in this space. I mean, just talk to me about some of the documentaries that you've done. I know you've done one for ITV and that you did one for the BBC. But what was that like for you as well, you know, kind of working on a larger scale discussing ADHD?
Do you know, I was really grateful for the opportunity, and the response I had was incredible. And just so many people who are like in the same boat, and I think there's so much more that we can explore and stuff, because no one's hit on the perimenopause ADHD thing at the moment. So when I posted my 1 year sober, and I put about the ADHD thing as well. Oh my God, my Instagram just went insane with women just crying, saying that they're in the same place I was in last year, and that just broke my heart. So then I started doing videos on I was Tanya's Bodyguard, so I've changed it to Transform with Tanya on Instagram. So there's lots of free content on there. Because there's no way I can get through all those thousands of messages to help each one. So I'm just trying to do free content on how I got sober, and because especially with women with ADHD, 1 in 4 take their own lives. And that's a big statistic. And because I've had a few failed attempts at it, and I didn't realise why I was doing it, because we can get so down, but we are impulsive. So, and that's another big reason why I want to give up drinking, because if I got down when I was drinking, I did something impulsive, and I didn't, and then I would have the next day, I'm dead. You know what I mean? It's really dangerous. It's really dangerous.
And being able to kind of spread that message on a wider level is, you know, it's an incredible thing to do. I mean, I know that you've been to Parliament with Esther McVeigh as well, and discussing kind of delays in diagnosis, because it's taken a really long time, isn't it, to get diagnosed?
Yeah, it's up to 10 years in some places. And it's 10 years, like people like, and there's so many mums as well going, oh my God, what if my daughter takes her own life, or my son, or and I've been going to prisons as well, because I think about 40% of people in prison are undiagnosed ADHD. But I'm lucky because I had they call them anchors. So I've had the strong family unit. Have always kept me in check and stuff. And we are people pleasers, and um, we want to make people happy. Whereas, so if there's young lads who have not got the mum and dad, and girls, who have been brought up, and then they're really vulnerable to gangs and things, and
Yeah.
they'll do anything to feel but like loved, and it's so sad. Oh, that makes me want to cry. But
Oh.
and then the next thing they've got the rest of their lives in prison, and just the impulsiveness, and if they get started on at school, and that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I medicated my son, because he is very impulsive, and if someone hit him, then he would just
Yeah.
it's so hard, and then people have no sympathy for them either. So
And you were saying before, I saw you on Lorraine talking about the fact that there'd been a massive shortage of medication,
yeah,
which has been a real worry, especially like you was talking for your son. I mean, how has that been, and has there been any changes?
yeah. So, well, apart from the fact that he can't swallow a tablet, so this one that he got, we
Oh,
could. Oh God, I've videoed it, which I shouldn't have done, but he's just hilarious. I'm like, why are you? He's like a big bloke now. So I was like, just swallow it. He's like, I'm like, oh my God, this is pathetic. So we've been lucky, because I thought this could. No one wants to medicate a son, and there's
yeah.
strong chemicals, and then just to have it taken away from you, um, and then you've got to try and find a new chemical. It's so scary. But we've been quite lucky with the transition. It's not been too bad. Um, we did have a few mood swings and everything, but only for like a week or so. But I was lucky that I'm really close with Rocco's psychiatrist now, because I filmed a TV show. When no other parents really are in that position. So when they've gone to the pharmacy, this is how we found out. When we went to the pharmacy, they say, "Oh no, that's out of stock." So then I spoke to Rocco's psychiatrist straight away. But the other parents, or a lot of other parents, will just find out, and then they've got to go back on the waiting list to try and ask for a new prescription of something else. So that's a long time. So they'll have the withdrawals. Of course, they'll go into school. It causes disruption, the mood swings, the anger bursts, the emotional dysregulation. Honestly, it's an absolute shit show.
And so, you know, obviously when you've been to Parliament, and, you know, what are they listening? What's happening? You know, kind of where is it at the minute?
They're listening, but there's a lot of fobbing off. Oh, well, we're doing trials with this, and we're doing trials with that. So yeah, my New Year's resolution is to, carry on with the kicking of the bummies.
That's the best way I've ever heard it being described on this podcast, because we've had many people go to Parliament to talk about, you know, issues. The kicking of the bumming is the best one I've heard. But it's really important though, isn't it? Because like you say, 10 years is a long time. That is a massive window of somebody's life that they potentially could be losing because they're not getting the help that they need. And so for you, you know, having this platform, and you have created this incredible empowerment space as well, is that important for you to kind of empower people?
Yeah, it's really important for me, because I've felt powerless a lot of my life. And then when I've learned some skills to make myself feel better, I want everybody else to feel that too. And the thought of anyone feeling like I used to feel, it just breaks my heart. So that fires me up, and that's just my mission.
And how has it been for Phil, you know, for you guys as a couple? Because I imagine it must have been difficult as well. I mean, thankfully you've been able to kind of have conversations with him, but I mean, how has that been?
Oh, Phil, he's riddled with ADHD, just denies it. I mean, you couldn't get more of it. Honestly, it's like God saw us both and just said, "Let's put them two together. No one else will have them." We're just the same person. And you know what? He's so laid back, and he's just like, "Oh, whatever, just whatever." Just he's always supportive. but yeah, I'm lucky to have him. I am lucky to have our Philip.
And to have, like you say, that support network, because many people don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of going back to the Real Housewives and that kind of platform. Were there, you decided to leave in 2021. What was it that kind of sparked that decision? Did you just feel like you'd run the course there and then wanted to pursue other avenues?
No, there was no other avenues. I was just in a really, really bad place.
Right.
And we'd lost quite a lot of people over lockdown. And we've got a massive family. And of course, with massive families, um, you have a lot of deaths. So I
Yeah.
think over the lockdown with friends and family, we'd lost like 14 people.
Crikey.
Some close, some like not really close, but it's still enough. And each knock um, and yeah, when you're in bad mental health and that keeps happening, and I just wasn't in a position um to do it. And family life was getting busier, like my boys were getting bigger, and I just felt like my world was collapsing. So something had to something had to go, and at that time it was that.
It was that, yeah, because both of your boys have signed for football teams. So you're a
Yes, yeah,
proper football mum now. And how is that?
yeah.
Like, what is that like for you?
Oh, well, that's, do you know what? It's crazy. So they're 4 times a week each. And then a game. So wherever the game is, like Leicester or Aston Villa, or just like, so you never know where you're going to be. And it's just the juggling of that. Like they are a full-time job, just their football alone. Um, oh, the little one wants to do MMA fight. And I was like, don't think so. I'll have a heart attack. Thank you. No way. So,
And in terms of kind of their discipline, you're like you were talking before about your dad, and your dad got an MBE, didn't he? And you kind of had to go to
yes.
Buckingham Palace. How was that for you?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. Like my dad's such a big inspiration. Because he when he left the army, he got to major. He started from the bottom when he was 16. And now he still works for the army, and he looks after like soldiers who've lost their limbs or bad mental health as well, post-traumatic stress disorder. So yeah, he was a big inspiration.
And he must have a very strong work ethic. Is that something that you are trying to kind of instill into your children as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like we won't take any like laziness in this house. Well, it's not even lazy. It's just I think if you don't work, you lose your zest. You lose your well, for me anyway. If I couldn't work, then I'd just be. When Rocco was born, that was the first time I've not worked, and my God, I was depressed.
Yeah.
I just you just lose your sense of self. Um, and I know a lot of mums can't work because the childcare is too expensive and stuff. But yes, as I always say, as soon as you can, just get back to work.
And I expect for you as well, because you had Gabriella quite young, and
Yeah.
being that kind of strong, independent, young, single mum, do you, even though you're not a single mum and you've got Phil and you've got a bigger family now, do you still kind of have that spirit inside you that's kind of like a bit
Yeah.
of a fighting spirit?
Yeah, definitely. And even when it comes to spending, like, I if I go in a shop, I remember when I moved here and like uh, I went shopping with the other wags and they were buying like £2,000 jumpsuits and stuff like that. And I was like, and even though like I probably could have just put it on Phil's card, I was like, I cannot, I cannot bring myself to spend that. There's no way. And I'm still like that, and I'm still like, oh no, no, no. I just can't justify it. So yeah, I still feel like the young Tanya, apart
And
from the actual skin on top.
oh, stop it. And that term, kind of the wag term, how
Yeah.
do you feel about that label?
Do you know what? It doesn't really bother me. I know it bothers quite a few people, but I'm just lucky I got an opportunity to be a wag and someone bloody married me. So I just think, well, life's too short to care about that. God.
And in terms of Gabriella, you're really, really close, aren't you? Kind of like,
Yeah.
how you're obviously very honest with her. What do you see for kind of her future? Is she wanting to do kind of performing? What is she interested in? Is she
Um,
interested in self-help?
Do you know what? She still doesn't really know what she wants to do. Quite a few like TV shows have come in for her, and she's just not really into that. So yeah, I don't know where Gabriella's going to end up, to be honest. I don't know. She's just a happy-go-lucky 21-year-old. She keeps saying she just wants to live her life. I'm like, well, what does that mean? What do you mean?
Do you feel like you're like, come on now, you should have a plan by now?
Yeah. But I suppose I didn't really know when I was 21. But yeah, she'll get there.
No, but you had your vision board. And
I
that was
had my
the
vision
thing.
board.
You had your vision board.
Yeah, my serial killer board, as my mum and dad called it.
Oh,
yeah.
is that
Yeah, they thought I was like turning into some sort of serial, because no one had heard of it then.
Yeah.
It was not a thing. And like they were like, my mum went into my dad and said, "Oh, Steve, I think Tanya's lost it. We've seen what she's done in her bedroom." Because they even had a man out of the catalogue with a question mark on its head in front of a mansion, and like next to me and Gabriella, and you know, the baby that I put on the vision board before Rocco and Phil and everything. I was a single mum. I cut this baby out of a Johnson's baby wipes, and it was the only one I could find, and it had the biggest blue eyes, this baby, and it had the whitest skin. And a beautiful, and Rocco was identical to that baby. So I'm quite dark skinned, and and Phil goes brown if he stays in the sun long enough. But Rocco, we have to put factor 70 on him, no matter what. This baby is completely white.
I mean, that was a really intense vision board that you did. But you are obviously, you know, again, trying to kind of pass those skills on to other people. And what are your future goals with, you know, your kind of coaching business? What would you like to see more with that?
My number one goal is to get the waiting times down for ADHD, because it's a one-on-one meeting with psychiatrists, and a lot of it's on the computer. So I'd like to see a room full of computers, and people have the option of going and doing these tests with one psychiatrist, and you know, like a bit like a theory test.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm working on. And what else? Oh God, you know what? It's completely gone out of my head. Yeah, just keep trying to help people.
And it seems to me that definitely that is the strongest theme that, you know, from our conversation, is that genuinely you just want to help people kind of that have been in a similar position or are in a similar position to what you've been in, and can do that with the platform that you've created and using it for good.
Yeah. And I feel really lucky that I've got that. But I also feel like if now that I've been given that, and if I don't try and help people with that, then I don't deserve it.
Oh, no, you do. And my last question, because I needed to ask you this, what is your favourite pot noodle flavour?
Oh, curry, the yellow one.
Do you?
I like the green one as well.
The chicken one?
Yeah, I do like it. It's chicken and mushroom, the green one.
Yeah.
But all the boys in this house, they like the green one, and I like the yellow one.
I just love the idea of you just sat there with a pot noodle, just like, I'm having the best life.
Yeah, no, they're very popular in this house.
Yeah. Tanya, it has been an absolute joy to talk to you today. We've run out of time, but thank you so much for being with me. It's been really, really insightful.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Natalie. Thank you.
Oh, I hope you guys at home have enjoyed being with us and that it's given you a lot of food for thought. If you are struggling with anything, please do go and speak to your doctor as soon as possible. For more from Tanya, you can find her on Instagram at Tanya Bardsley 7 or visit her website www.tanyabardo.com. You can also stream her documentary, Me and ADHD, on ITVX on Celebrity Health Stories. For more wellbeing and lifestyle, you can visit us at our website www.thecapsule.co.uk, where you can also catch up with our previous podcast episodes by streaming from any of our podcast channels and YouTube. Please feel free to leave any rates, reviews, messages. I always love to hear from you. You can also drop us a message on Instagram at @officialcapsule. I will be back next week with another very special guest, but all that's left for us to say today is goodbye. So it's goodbye from Tanya.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
And goodbye from me. Bye-bye. This episode of the Capsule in Conversation was brought to you by Harrogate Spring Water. Bottled at source, Harrogate Spring offers a refreshing taste of Yorkshire with a delicate blend of naturally occurring minerals and electrolytes, perfect for healthy hydration.